Your very last video. You've made it through the entire course, and as a reward for your hard work and patience and kindness to me, you may recall that week 1, bonus video 1, I referred to that video as the tease, and I showed you all the places in all of Photoshop where masking could be used. I showed it to you in Camera Raw. I showed it to you in Lightroom. I didn't tell you how to do it. I just teased you by saying, here's where we're going. And the end of that video, I did my little barn with mail pouch graphic, and I used the vanishing point tool to pull off that magic. I teased you, but I never did show you how to do it. And so, as your reward, here at the very end, I'm going to walk you through the how to do the vanishing point magic trick. The magic of masks. This would be, I think, a fitting ending. I've got several images here. I'm just going to scroll through them and you, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Well, this is a good example, actually. Let's take a little peek. I'm in Photoshop, and I'm just going to give you, if you're going to use the, here we go again, filter menu, vanishing point feature. If you're going to use the vanishing point feature, and you are, you might want to recall 2 important things. One might be the keyboard shortcut. For Mac users, it looks like frisbee down an escalator, butterfly V. Frisbee down an escalator is Mac's hieroglyphic shortcut for, that's the option key. So option, propeller or butterfly, no, that's the command key. Oh well, Adobe's not alone in some of their little quirkiness, are they? Of course, who am I to call the kettle black? So option command V on the Mac. It's Alt Control V on Windows. All right, if you want to memorize the shortcut. But whether you use the shortcut or the long cut, you'll really want to discipline yourself to do this first. Create a new empty layer. So to do the how-to, I'm going to show you. For the vanishing point, start with a new layer. You'll want a brand new fake layer, empty layer, and I'll show you that next. Now, I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut. No, I'm not. The first time I do this, I'll do the long cut for you, okay? Filter, vanishing point. Now, what you're going to see when you open an image is there is no mask. There is no blue grid in perspective. So what I teased you with, I opened images that I'd already placed grids in, vanishing point masks in. I'm going to show you how to. Look over at the new toolbar that you are given. There's a selection tool, yes. There it is. Create plane tool. Well, create plane tool is a little bit of a silly name. That is make a mask. Create plane tools, make the mask. So let's make the mask, but I have to make the mask in perspective, matching the perspective of this image. It's not as hard as it sounds. Watch me carefully. I'm going to find a chunk of this image where the perspective is pretty clear cut. Like here, there's a little slit in the boards there as they come together, a little seam there. Obviously, this dark line between the slats is pretty clear. Let's do that. I'm going to go click. Here we go. I'm ready to click. I'm in the grid tool. You're going to click 4 points. 1, 2, 3. I'm aiming there on purpose. Why? Because that straight line there gives me a clue for where to go over here where I really am not sure. Where do I click to end the grid? But you'll notice I'm looking right here on that line as I sneak across, and when that aligns, I'm in pretty good shape. And I click, and when you click, you'll now see it fills in some intermediate lines on the inside. If you see a grid that's blue, mine is, then good for you. Blue is good for you. You did it. It's going to work. What color could it be? It could be red. And red says, red, you're dead. Try again. Red is not a good grid. It can't possibly be the perspective grid if you see the grid show up in red. Now you may also see it in yellow. And then you're very close, fellow. Yellow is you're close. Tweak it a little bit more until it turns blue. We're going for blue. It's a mask. And I can only paste into it. You're going to see I can also clone. Let me zoom over here and show you that I've got a clone stamp tool. I can paint. I'm going to clone. But whatever I do, paste, like I did with the mail pouch in the barn, which I'll replicate in this how-to, or clone, it only has impact inside the mask. I made a small mask. Why? Because I could see where the perspective was in this area. I could figure that out. But here's what you're going to do. Grab those white markers and pull and pull and pull. And what you do is you started with the correct perspective where it was easy for you. But you'll notice that as I pull, it's following those slats perfectly. Let's go grab the sides and pull and pull and pull. I'm going to pull until it covers the area of the image I'm going to need to play in. I'm going to clone out this, I don't know what this is, but I got to get rid of it. Electrical cord and this pool scraper, let's get rid of that too. But you see that my grid hasn't yet included the entire electrical cord, so I'm going to have to pull it out until it's copied as well. Covered. I'm set to go. Now, why is it important that I use a mask here? Well, because we don't want Grumpy to get painted on. So we're going to kind of protect our dog here in this case. That's the how-to. Make a blue grid in an area you can see and understand and comprehend that that's the perspective, and then drag it full screen as you want, as full a screen as you want, before you start working in it. I'm going to grab my clone stamp tool. And let's clone. I'm going to clone from this area right here up front. Now think about it. Without this tool, could I use these foreground slats to clone over those background slats? Well, no, because cloning basically copies and uses exactly that art back there, or they would be way too large considering the perspective, wouldn't they? And so cloning, wow, with this vanishing point tool works magic. Watch. PC users, when they've grabbed their clone stamp tool, are going to hold the Alt key and click at an area they're going to begin copying from. They're going to Alt click to load it into memory. Mac users, what are you going to do? If they Alt click, you always Option click their equivalents. Option click. And now look, I have a paintbrush. And I can make my brush bigger or smaller with the same keys I use in Photoshop. Bracket, 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 bracket. But you'll notice that since I'm starting from that spot, when I go back in space, the brush resizes and maintains the perspective. If I go side to side and forward and backward, the brush updates. This is magic. I'm going to click right there and start painting, clicking and dragging, and I'm cloning. What sorcery is this? Oh my gosh. I'm going to start from here now. New starting point. Option or Alt click. Sneak back here in the back. And makes easy work. Look at that. But it won't let me go outside my grid. No paint allowed. No paint allowed. Option click, Alt click, click and drag. Oh, I went too far. I grabbed some of what I was trying to eliminate. So I'm going to start further forward, Alt or Option click. And you'll notice that as I'm painting back there on the electrical cord, I'm seeing a little green plus sign here in the foreground, which is reminding me what I'm getting. Don't get too close to that dog. Now, some feature is turned on here called heal. Heal. Now, that's not for your dog. It's not a command for the dog. Heal. Heal, boy. Heal means even though I use a dark area of wood in a light area on the photo, please heal it. Keep it in the same light. Just give me the pattern and the texture. Wow, that's heal. If I don't have heal on, I can get some very odd looks when I go over. Oh, see, I got caught. So while I wanted to clone from over here, that texture and the slats, if I don't have heal on, in this case at least, it looks out of place. It doesn't match the lighting. All right, I'm going to say, okay, I'm done. And I'm grateful that I did all of that on a new layer. I'll hide my original background layer. And you see, those are the areas where I actually made changes. They're now on their own layer, and I can see before and after. If I chose to, I might say, well, let's add a layer mask. Cool. And paint some spots out. Areas that I don't feel I care for. That I didn't. Ooh. I'm going to hit X for the light switch and paint them back. What was I thinking? It just gives you a little extra love, a little extra editability there. I'm going to close that one. That's incredible cool. Now, sometimes you can't see the perspective. I know there's perspective going on here, and I'd like to use some of these foreground poppies. This is not my photo, by the way. This might be the first image I've shown you that's not my photo. The dog wasn't my photo either. Never mind. This is the second image. That's not my photo. So I want to clone some of these poppies in the foreground and fill in some of those blanks, dark spots in the back. Well, let's do it. You know, new layer, vanishing point filter. Oh, I've already got one, don't I? I'll pretend I don't. I'll delete it. By the way, you can delete it. And I'm going to say, well, I think from here, I'm guessing to here, to here, to there. That was a good guess, Rick. If I didn't guess so right, how do I know it was a good guess? Because it was blue. Here to here, to here, to there. If I see blue, I can use it. If I see red, oh, look there, yellow. You're pretty close, fellow. Red, if I can make red happen, I'm going to be dead. You know that. So I'm just making sure I have a blue grid to work. Oh, it's red. It's so hard to tell, but I now don't have a grid inside the center at all, but there's a red line. There you go. Red, dead. Keep trying. You blew it. Yellow, you're close, fellow. Blue. Now I drag it out. I make sure that it covers at least sides now, sides. At least the areas of the poppies I'm going to fix, clone, in this case again, grab an area, Alt or Option click, it takes that in perspective, and I'm cloning in perspective on those unfilled areas. Now I can always Option click and grab a new bunch if I run out. How beautiful is that? Way back there in space. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So cool, so cool. Let's grab this guy. He's so beautiful. Alt click and let's use him right here. So it doesn't matter if I come forward or backward. The cloning is going to work for me. All right, there you go. That was a tough one because There was no obvious perspective lines or grid like there was in the slats of that pool deck. This is a real good example. This is one of my images. New layer. Boy, discipline yourself. Vanishing point. And you're going to see it looks odd to me. It looks like something happened to this wood here. This was gorgeous wood, but then something happened there. I don't know what that was, but I don't like it. So I'm going to go into vanishing point. I've already got my grid. Let's delete it so you can see me start over. By the way, you see that when I create a vanishing point grid and I save my Photoshop file, it saves with the file for the life of my file. It's in there forever. So you can tell I've already done this before. I've done it before. Here's my grid. I've got to find the perspective from there, maybe to there. Gosh, this is tricky because I can't see the ground, right? There to there. I can see the line. Is that going to work for me? It looks like it might. Is it working out here? Does it line up with this slit in the front? Ah, no. So I'm going to compensate. I'm going to do a little baby adjustment on this corner because I can see right here on this line. Now it lines up. That will be, oddly enough, that is my perspective grid. Clone tool, in this case, go grab some good wood right here, not over her head, right? I don't want to get her face. So I'm going to start right here. Option click, come down. You can see that my brush is changing perspective. I haven't clicked yet. I'm just looking at a little preview. Right there, click and drag. Oh, I got her hat. I'm going to fix that in a moment. Now I got to reload because I'm out of good wood. I'm going to start running into bad wood. So I'm going to do, let's fix this while we can. Option click here. Get rid of the hat. Cool, now I'm back to normal. I got a lot more good wood now. I've got 4 slats I can borrow from. Option click. I've got 4 slats of good wood here I can use. Beautiful. All good all the time. One more just to sneak right back there in those nooks and crannies. All right, cool. Okay, done. But I painted over too much. Right, so let's hide it. Let me get my lasso tool, and I know that right down, I can see it, right down this line was that trough. I'll make a selection there. Come back to what I had created, right? And the wood, the good wood. Now, if my cloned wood, if I create a layer mask, by default, now don't freak out. By default, it says, oh, you only want what's inside the selection? It's going to hide the rest of my good wood. Let me do it. Let me show it to you. No, I want the opposite of that. And so you can invert later, but here's a trick. Hold the Alt key or the Option key when you create the layer mask, and it says, oh, you don't want what's inside, you want what's outside. I'm holding the Option key on my Mac, and it flip-flops. Now, I've got some darkening to do back here to make it look real, don't I? So, on that good wood, let's create a new layer above it. I will paint with darkness. I'm going to paint with some dark values. Big, soft-edged brush. Gross, but there it is. It's going everywhere. Glitter and glue. Option or Alt click between the 2 layers, and now that shadow, that shading, will only stick to my wood, and I'll play with the opacity of it. Nice. I could play with the blending mode of it and opacity of it until I get what I want. Now there's a dark spot right there. You see it too. I know you do. And so I might come back to that layer and say, you know what? Paint with lights out. I don't really want to see that. Layer mask, glitter and glue. Let's not forget the good old tools, the good old boys, the good old girls in this case. my cowgirl. Let's not forget the old tools. We're using them together so that exponentially we end up improving our art. This one blows me away, and this is going to answer another question that you wanted to know, I'm sure, as you watched me do the barn. I found this image on Google. I'm going to go find something to put in it. There's our barn. Here we go. I have a piece of art. Let's say this is going to represent my CD case. Copy the art, close the file. I won't need it anymore. I copied my art. New layer, vanishing point, new layer. Vanishing point filter. You got it, boss. It's already in there. I'm going to pretend I don't have one. Get your grid. Watch. I'm going to show you how to create one plane that then pops off and creates a second plane and a third plane if I want to, so that when I paste the art, goes around corners like we did on the barn. Here's how you do it, and it's fascinating every time I see it. I can see the first plane. It's right here from click, 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 click. Blue, we're good. Good for you. Now I need to peel or attach another plane for the other side of the case so that the art wraps around the two. Actually, there are 3 planes. Do you see the third plane? Do you see the plane in the middle? Oh, it's just this little white chunk right here. As you hover over one of these, usually I go for the middle white point. If you hover over one of these points, look up, right up here, look up and read right there when I'm hovering. And it says, click and drag to resize the plane. Yeah, I knew that already. Command drag to create a perpendicular plane. That's the trick. On the Mac, Command key drag will peel off a relative to this plane and create a wrapping corner. It's the Control drag for you PC users. I'm going to do it. Command drag, and it peeled out an extra plane. Now, I keep pulling, it makes it longer and longer. I don't need a long one. I just want you to see it because something else is wrong with this new plane. If that were a door, that door needs to swing backward a little bit because this plane is flat. It's not at this angle. And so that's the next key that it taught me. Option drag or Alt drag. You PC users will read on your versions to swing the plane. It says to rotate the connection between a plane and its parent. Option will swing the door. I'm going to swing the door because I know it should be straight, but it's easier for me to see it when it's a nice big door. Then I'll do what it told me. Click and drag to resize the plane. Not holding any keys. I'm just going to make it a very skinny plane. I now have 2 planes. I need to drag one off. That was Command or Control. Click and drag and swing out another plane. What do you notice about this plane? Bad door, bad door. So hold the Alt key or the Option key. Swing that door to match your object. No keys held down. Just simply pull to resize the plane. I'm set. I've got 3 planes. Do you remember the last thing we copied? Yeah, it was the artwork for my CD case. Here we go. I'm going to paste. No good. It's pasted flat, but if I pick it up and touch it to the plane, the mask, I can let go and redrag. Look at it wrapping. Marvelous. Oh, I'm so excited. I'll say, okay. I'm extremely glad that I made that new separate layer so that I can run a blending mode on it and sell the effect. Ooh, this is way too cool. Now, I'm not going to do any more. I'm just going to let you look. Hey, if I have broken ceiling tiles, but look at the perspective as they swing across. You know you could grab ceiling tiles from one side and paint with them on the other, and it would match the perspective. I'm looking at that going, yeah, that calls for, oh, I need some more lights in this building because they want to pretend somebody was home. I'll make a plane on the shape of the building. On that face of the building, grab some lights from that plane, clone them up at the top. No problem. That's buildings always have perspective. Great example. Okay, I lied. I will do one more. This one's just too fun. I'm going to go into my vanishing point tool. You saw me make a new layer. Now I'm not even mentioning it. I'm just so used to it, right? Vanishing point filter. Make my plane. Can you see where the plane might be? I want to see 4 corners. Yes. All right, here, watch. I'm going to start at this corner, bottom, right click. Go to the top corner. Go to the outside corner on the left. And then see, there's a bit of an art to figuring out where your corners are going to be. But obviously those represent the actual perspective. I'm just grabbing corners from real art. Click and drag up. I don't want to go any further than that. Click and drag down. Click and drag left and right. I now have my perspective plane. We're going to sell this building, but we want it to look like we have full occupancy, lots of renters. But obviously, somebody's not home. So I could grab, option click, I'm cloning, option click this corner, and just make sure it aligns with that corner, click and drag, magic. Now there's a glitch there. Why? Look at my green plus sign. Yeah, I don't really have, so I'm going to undo that. Let's use this one instead. Okay, option click, right on that corner, line it up, click and drag. Well, somebody's home there. Oh, but look up. Healing is off. I want healing on. Let's try it again. Option click, this time with healing on so that it tries to match the original light source of that part of the building. Way to go. Grab another one. Option click. Line it up. Before I start to click, now I'm clicking, dragging, let go. It matches the original lighting. I'm happy. Okay. Yeah, we have nearly 100% occupancy. Something you don't like? Yeah, there is something I don't like. Maybe you see it too. So I'll add a layer mask, you know this. And let's paint with lights out on that part I don't like. I'm good. Oh, right there. Don't like that. I don't like this piece across the top either. Piece of cake. All good. Golden, golden. Close. Don't save. There's our barn. Oh, we really ought to. Oughtn't we? Okay, good. Select all, copy, close, close, barn door, new layer, vanishing point. It remembers and retains our grids from the past. How did I get that second one to bend around the corner? You already know now. I created my first grid, and on the Mac, I command dragged that side panel, and there it went. If it doesn't seem to swing right, that was the option key. you could re-swing the door, right? If it's not swinging properly, go give it a good swing. Make sure that it swings in the right angle. You can always grab it and pull it. All right, I'll start from scratch. On that, click, 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 click. It's blue, I'm good. Command, drag around the corner. Something's slightly off, I think. Alt, swing the door. I'm watching the bottom of that barn, honestly. You see that? The bottom, there it went. Now it aligns here. I just need more. Without any key, just pull. There it is. I'm clicking on nothing. I'm going to paste. Let's grab mail pouch and click on the first plane. And it's so satisfying, isn't it? So satisfying. Command T or T. They're looking up. I'm looking up and it says press T right under the words vanishing point there at my title bar. It says press T to transform, T to transform, so that I could still even scale in this mode. I could scale, paint, clone, paste, all in perspective. Good thing I had a new layer. You saw this in the T's, so that I could play with any other blending mode and opacity. And now it's no longer a tease. What was a tease is now a treasure. It's your treasure. This is your new trick. Go show off. Practice like with any magic trick. Practice, then show your tricks. Entertain your purchasing audience. Go blow their minds. It has been my absolute pleasure. Thank you. I'll thank you again and again. Thank you for joining me. You made it. Thank you so much for taking this course. Please consider my other courses, only available at bpsop.com.